forward to this weekend's match? That was a simple question.
Yeah, yes, we are. No, we are. I mean, we're bitterly disappointed about last weekend, and we're looking forward to going up to Sydney and taking on a team in very good form, and and really a Sydney side that are very good at the things we want to be good at, and we covered a lot of those things. We did a lot of those things really well, but our efficiency really let us down. We gave ourselves an opportunity, but we weren't able to capitalise, and we gave Sydney too many easy opportunities. So that's something we'll really be looking to rectify this week.
You mentioned after the game, as you just mentioned now, that you wanted to test yourselves against Sydney. Does it add an element of frustration that then you come up against Gold Coast, who, I mean, they're not really a contender like Sydney?
Oh no, it doesn't concern me. I think that it gives us another chance to really focus on the things that we've been training really hard over the off season. And look, a lot of those things have been going really well, but there are still elements of our game that are very, very substandard. So we've got to pick those up. The players are really, really clear as to what those elements are, and regardless of the opposition, we get a chance to practice them. So we're all looking forward to the game, and we watched the Essendon and Gold Coast game with great interest a couple of weeks ago, and they were fantastic that night, and it's obvious to everyone the talent they've got in their side. So it's up to us to make sure they don't play well.
I was speaking to a player a couple of weeks ago and asked him about the Gold Coast. He described them as a great side. Thought that was going perhaps a little bit far. Where do you think they're at?
Well, I mean, they're clearly not a great side yet, but I think what he was probably taken literally in that he means they've got a great deal of talent in their side, and when that talent matures and when they start playing a great team brand of football, combining all that talent, they will be a great side. So I think that the players throw terms around fairly loosely at times, but they haven't proven that they're a very good side yet. But I think we're all well aware of the capabilities that exist within the team. So we've got to at some point that's going to start to come through. Now we've got to make sure it doesn't come through in round 5.
Do you feel they've established themselves as a club that can run out the full 4 quarters, or is that an area where you'll look to expose them late in the game?
No, we'll be looking to expose them for all 120 minutes of the game. We expect their best, and we expect them to come out and give a really good account of themselves. Interstate sides want to play well on the road. Now, we wanted to play well in Sydney last week and we weren't able to do that, but it was a huge focus for us. So I've got no doubt they'll come down here, and it'll give David Swallow a chance to be the number 1 midfielder in their side for the first time in the Gold Coast short history. I mean, just because Gary Ablett's not there, it adds an element of unpredictability to their side, and it allows their young players to perhaps be the number 1 and not playing second fiddle to Gary.
How's Lindsay Thomas? He's had an interesting week. It's kind of been easy for him.
No, it hasn't been easy, but I've been extremely impressed with the way Lindsay's handled himself. I think he was outstanding at the tribunal. He's outstanding in the way he's carried himself. He's shown a real level of maturity this week, which is really pleasing, because he's been in the AFL system for a long time now. And if you take out your videos and your DVDs and have a look at what he was like when he first came in, he's a completely different man now. So it's a credit to him, and he'll come up this week, and I'm sure he'll acquit himself really well.
Is there a few he might be overcautious now?
No. I think that he's vindicated in his action. I think that while there've been a lot of people saying there's confusion over the rule, personally, I don't think there's confusion. I think that the AFL have made it very clear that you can't slide knees or feet first into a contest. Lindsay made the contest. There've been some horrible misrepresentations of what happened. To say that Lindsay executed a slide tackle, well, that's a soccer term, and you can't tackle someone in AFL footy when you haven't got the ball. So, when you're contesting the ball and you've got it. So, Lindsay got to the footy first. He made the contest. The tribunal have vindicated what he did, and he won't change his game. But the AFL have made it very clear to players that you can't slide into a contest, into a player, knees first or feet first. So, I think as far as that's concerned, it's really clear. But if we've instructed our players to make the ball their objective, and if they do that, then they should be okay.
Speaking of where the game is going, a very interesting comment from Lee Matthews in the past hour or so, actually. He's come out as a Rules Committee man as well and said that perhaps there needs to be a review of this rule in the wake of the sliding stuff, and perhaps players should only be able to gain possession of the ball if they have their feet, saying that you shouldn't, like Gaelic style, you shouldn't be able to pick up the ball necessarily if you're on the ground. What would your read on that be?
Well, I think it's the concept that we follow informally anyway. I mean, we're always instructing our players to to maintain their feet at all times and to only lose their feet as an absolute last resort. So, that's the way we train our players. But, there's slippery conditions on the weekend. I think, Lindsay had his eyes fixed on the ball. He had no idea where Gary Rowan was, and he was going in to win the ball. Now, we instruct our players to keep their feet. But what I think the disturbing trend that the AFL are talking about is when there's a contested situation, there are players milling around the ball, and a player recklessly and negligently slides in with his knees or feet face up. So, I don't mind the concept, but I think it'll take a lot of policing.
Do you think it'd change the game dramatically then, if that actually was enforced by the umpires, that you had to keep your feet?
Well, it would dramatically change the game, yeah, because you've got desperate players who dive and lunge at the ball, and I wouldn't like to see it come in myself, because I think that we play a desperate game, and diving and lunging at the ball is already penalised as it is, because if you dive on the ball, you give up your right to prior opportunity. So most of the time you get pinged holding the ball. So I think things are okay. Let's just let it settle, and it's a freak event, and we all feel desperately for Gary Rowan. It was a horrific injury, and we hope one that never happens again. But let's treat it for what it was, a freak event, an unavoidable event, and let's hope it never happens again. But I think Lindsay's been vindicated in his actions.
Is there any explanation you can put your finger on for Todd Goldstein's relatively slow start to the season?
Look, I think Goldie's not playing at his best, but it's he's had terrific opportunity in the ruck. We played McIntosh primarily as a forward ruck, and Goldie's just not playing at his best. But we know he's a top line player, and we know the capabilities that he's got. So there's nothing physical that's an issue. He's just got to get himself into the game a bit more. So that partnership will require some tinkering at times, and I've been on record a number of times as saying that I think it can work well, when they're both playing at their best. But the proviso there is that they're both playing at their best.
How's his confidence if it's nothing physical? Like, does it take an adjustment with Hamish coming back?
I think the important thing to note is that it's got little to nothing to do with Hamish coming back. He's playing 70 to 80% game time as a pure ruckman. So there's the only thing that's changed there is probably 15% of the game, whereas last year he was playing 85% as a pure ruckman. So it's only a minor shift. So it's more just to do with his form.
More confusion yesterday with the goal review system. How close are we to getting that right?
Well, based on the available evidence, I think we're a fair way away from getting it right. I think that with anything new, there always comes confusion, and the fact that we're still talking about it round 5 suggests that we haven't got it right, and that people are still seeking clarification. I saw clarification, just post game, on the Sydney game, because I think that there still is. The AFL have done a good job of clarifying, and I think the bottom line is now is that if the umpires are not sure, and there's a video review called, then the lesser score will be taken under the rules. Now, you can argue the point as to whether that's right or not. I think that I would prefer that the favour went to the attacking team. If the umpires aren't sure, well, pay the goal. Pay the team that's actually making the play. But I don't mind which way it is, as long as we're really clear on which way it is. And the Goldstein example on the weekend, the umpires were far from sure. I mean, there was a lot of discussion as to, I think it was touched, it might have been touched. Just say you don't know, and go to the inconclusive and then make the call either way.
Is that good enough, do you think, that we've still got this doubt at round 5?
Yeah, but I don't know that there's an alternative. I mean, I think anytime you go to the video to have a look at a touched off the boot decision, the decision's going to come back inconclusive. So I think the clarification and Jeff Geeshan and the umpires in the AFL have clarified it. They've said if it's inconclusive and the umpires are not sure, the lesser score is taken. So it doesn't get any clearer than that, I don't think. Whether that's right or not, I think that's up to the AFL to put their submissions forward to the AFL.
You covered it.
Okay.
Just goal kicking, final quarter against Sydney, you smashed them in the inside 50s, but you kicked, I think, 3-6. Have you sort of been working on that at all this week?
We always work on it, and it's always an area for us to improve. And probably Sydney were as well. They really struggled in front of goal last year, and they fixed that up. We continue to work on it, but I think the shots we had weren't sitters. I think we had a lot of rushed shots there, and we were really put to the sword by some outstanding Sydney Swans pressure at the SCG. So with that pressure sometimes comes, poor disposal efficiency and really poor goal kicking at times as well when you're pressured on the run. So it's something we've got to continue to work on, but instead of the players, you kick the ball at 57% versus the opposition 73%, then you're generally going to lose most of those games.
Brad, just how good are Sydney? We talk about the top four, but you saw them firsthand. Are they as good as any of those top four sides?
Oh, well, we haven't played them all yet, but I think that Sydney haven't changed a great deal. I think they've always been an outstanding contested ball side. They're highly respected amongst the competition, and that hasn't changed one bit. I think they're an extremely hard side to beat anywhere, but at the SCG that goes up by a factor of 2. So I think they outplayed us in all the key areas. We were good in a lot of areas, but they were able to harass and pressure us. And if they keep up that harassment and pressure, they're going to trouble most sides.
You took the opportunity last time against GWS, Brad, to blood Cam Delaney. Will you do the same against the Suns?
No, we'll pick the side based on the 22 that we think will get the job done. We picked Cam Delaney because he was in terrific form, and we felt that that GWS had a number of key forwards that really suited him. He played really well, and then we left him out the next week to bring his brother Luke in because we felt Luke was better suited to Tom Hawkins. So, we're in a really fortunate position at the moment where we've got the majority of our list available, and there will be some selection decisions at times that people maybe raise eyebrows at, and even our own players may be a little bit surprised with. But we'll continue to pick the team that we think gives us the best chance of winning on the weekend, and with that will come some selection surprises at times.
Is there anything you can tell us ahead of the selection tonight?
No, look, we'll make some changes. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But what they are at this stage, we've still got a couple of guys we've got to make sure can come up. Matty Campbell just had a slight roll of his ankle, so we'll see how he trains. We've got to see how some other guys in the VFL train as well, but there will be some changes.